walking away with my future wife.
I do believe that love conquers all. That's why I'm here.
I've had a lot of hard decisions. This is going to be one of the harder ones.
The moment of truth is finally here.
No one wants to be told that it's not you.
I am either leaving with the love of my life or I'm going to get broken up with.
In the end, who will they choose?
I just feel so blessed to have met you. It's kind of always been you. This farmer found a why.
The Floor, 2-hour season finale, Wednesday on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
When it comes to the national political landscape, all eyes are looking ahead to next week's primary election, and Maine is in the spotlight. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones. As our Doug Banks reports, the primary comes as Graham Plattner continues defending himself against a growing list of allegations.
Mr. Plattner, are you here to calm the water, sir?
Presumptive Democratic U.S. Senate nominee Graham Plattner was in Washington earlier this week, defending himself after new allegations from his past recently arose.
Those serious allegations are just not true.
On Thursday, a New York Times report included allegations from Plattner's former girlfriends. Mr. Plattner could be charming and charismatic, but also demeaning to women and, in at least one case, even physically threatening. He drank heavily and was regularly unfaithful.
The fact that I was, a bad boyfriend a decade ago, that's something I've talked about openly at length for quite some time.
It adds to a list his opponents have accumulated, including a now covered-up tattoo resembling a Nazi symbol, inflammatory old Reddit posts, and an alleged sexting scandal. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who recently endorsed Plattner, was asked about the recent New York Times article.
What's your response to this New York Times article on Graham Plattner?
I haven't read it.
Plattner is scheduled to take part in a rally in Bar Harbor alongside other Maine Democratic candidates. Doug Banks reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
We both got into this race.
Well, Graham Plattner, Troy Jackson, and Matt Dunlap did draw a crowd in Bar Harbor this evening, and their aim was to get out the vote just days away from the primaries. Our Callie Warren takes us there.
No one is coming to rescue us. We need to stand up ourselves, and that's what we're doing tonight.
I say that we can't afford to wait any longer, that our time is now.
Maine, I will always have your back.
Hundreds packed into Bar Harbor's Criterion Theater Friday night as they prepare for the primary polls on Tuesday.
Together, we're going to stand up and take on Donald Trump and all his sycophants in D.C. We're going to fight back against that corruption, that power, that greed that is always there and never sleeps.
Democratic candidates Matt Dunlap, Troy Jackson, and Graham Plattner endorsed one another and discussed the values they believe to be top of mind for Democrat voters, including fighting for the working class, advocating for equity, and working towards economic fairness.
It is only together that we can make a different choice. We can build a government by working people, for working people.
For these candidates, the event serves to not only promote one another's platforms, but also to rally voters together with just days to go before the primaries.
This is what we do. We get committed, we show up, and we stay in the fight. The world is run by people who show up like you. That's how we're going to get this done.
In Bar Harbor, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Meanwhile, Senator Susan Collins spoke today about the latest allegations against her presumptive opponent, Graham Plattner. Conservative backers of Senator Collins have been running a series of negative ads against him. But as Brad Rogers reports, Plattner still appears to hold a narrow lead in the polls.
Senator from Maine.
I have never missed a single vote.
After casting her 10,000th straight vote on the Senate floor and working all night, Senator Collins took a plane and car ride to speak to Maine veterans at Sunday River. Afterwards, members of the press were given 5 minutes to speak with the senator, who says she is troubled by the latest allegations against Graham Plattner.
The allegations in the latest story are troubling, and I believe that Graham Plattner has a lot of questions to answer.
The New York Times says its report is based on interviews with more than 24 people, including Lindsay Fifield, a conservative who has worked for right-leaning groups and Republican campaigns. Plattner calls the allegations alleging physicality untrue and says they are politically motivated. Senator Collins says she has no connection to Lindsay Fifield.
There isn't. I've never met her, and I'd never even heard her name before I read the New York Times story.
Many Democrats believe there is a double standard, with Republicans excusing President Trump's character and past while capitalizing on the allegations against Graham Plattner.
Do you think it will cost him votes, and should it cost him votes this November?
Well, that's really up to the people of Maine.
Senator Collins is running unopposed in the Republican primary. Graham Plattner has two opponents in the Democratic primary. One is Governor Mills, who suspended her campaign but is reminding voters she's still on the ballot.
The Senate has approved a huge Republican-led package to fund ICE and Border Patrol through the end of the Trump administration. The $70 billion measure passed 52-47 after an overnight session which lasted more than 18 hours. Republicans used budget reconciliation to advance the bill without Democratic support. Debate centered on the controversial DOJ fund for people alleging the federal government had been weaponized against them, but efforts to block or redirect that fund failed. Senator Susan Collins voted for it and says this bill is necessary.
If that bill were not passed, that eventually the money that is needed to pay for Border Patrol, for the Homeland Security investigations, which includes child exploitation cases, human trafficking, drug smuggling, counterfeiting of goods, would come to a screeching halt because the law enforcement officials would not be able to conduct those investigations.
Senator Angus King voted against that measure. The package will now move to the House for consideration. Meanwhile, California Democrat and U.S. Representative Ro Khanna made a trip to Maine to show support today for Democratic 2nd Congressional District Matt Dunlap ahead of next Tuesday's primary election. Representative Khanna told us he's known Dunlap ever since they both supported Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders in his presidential run. The event also highlighted Dunlap's Get Out the Vote initiative. Dunlap says it's a reminder for Maine voters that elections matter, even if your respective candidate is favored in the polls.
As a former chief elections officer who supervised a lot of recounts that were decided by a single vote, I know firsthand that every vote matters. So we want to remind people to exercise that franchise that so many people have fought hard for over many centuries.
He is fighting for health care for everyone. He's fighting to support and increase Social Security. And he's going to take on the billionaire class to make sure this country is actually working for ordinary Americans.
Well, today's gathering was held at Dunlap's campaign office in Old Town. And as Maine's primary election quickly approaches, we're giving our viewers a deeper look into the candidates they'll potentially be voting for. Today, we'll hear from Democratic candidate for governor, Angus King III.
I am so proud to be named Angus King. He has been one heck of a mentor, but if my name were Bob Smith, you would know me as the guy who had worked at the White House, who had built a lot of affordable housing, who had built solar and wind projects across the country, and then built a renewable energy company inside a gas utility, and we built a project in Clinton, Maine that takes something that the farms have a lot of, which is cow manure, and turns it into something that we all need, renewable energy. And I've really spent my entire life building public goods through the private sector. So putting together public and private sectors, putting people together who had every reason to disagree, to build things, to come together, to find common ground. And that's why I'm running. I'm running because I really felt like our politics was broken. I felt like people were exhausted. They were tired of a lot of the infighting and what was happening. And I thought I had a real opportunity to offer something that was new, that was different. Someone who had worked in the private sector, had created jobs, created energy, created housing. And I thought that was a very important perspective to bring to Maine for this election. I'm running against 4 other good candidates, but there's a real difference, and the main one is that they've spent their entire careers in state government. And I think there's a real difference of perspective of somebody who's been in the sort of real world, building companies, building jobs, and signing the front of the paycheck as well as the back, and having a real exposure to how do you get things done by bringing all kinds of different people together and accomplishing your goal. And I think that's, again, a different perspective and one that you don't get if you've only spent your career in the legislature. I would love to have people's first votes, and if they've got someone else who they really love, I'd love to have their second place votes. This is an important election, and I think there's a real opportunity for the Democrats to deliver a candidate who does have some exposure to the business world, who can appeal to moderates, and can really win in November.
Well, 2 Maine unions say gubernatorial candidate Dr. Nirav Shah is misrepresenting a fellow candidate in a recent ad. Leaders for the Maine AFL-CIO and the University of Maine Graduate Workers Union held a news conference in Portland today. They accuse Shah and a super PAC of misrepresenting fellow candidate Troy Jackson's record on reproductive rights in a recent political ad. Now, legally, Shah and his campaign had nothing to do with the PAC ad, but organizers are still calling on Shah and the PAC to denounce it. Meanwhile, Shah is defending his policies and making it clear that his campaign has no affiliation with the political group behind the ad targeting Jackson. Again, legally, he can't. Shah adds that he does condemn the negative ads aimed at Jackson as well as those directed at his own campaign.
Yesterday, I convened a press conference to denounce negative advertising of all forms. This ad, as well as negative ads that are on the air about me. If we are going to be in favor of a robust democracy, then we have to be against negativity in all forms, and this includes speaking out against negative ads.
Well, Shah is calling for all of the negative ads to be taken down. Let's pause now, folks, and get a first look at our forecast.
Thank you very much. Our first weather tonight is brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience the quality automotive difference, reliable service, and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment at 922-2043. All right, those highs for today still in the 80s here in Bangor. You saw 81 degrees for today, 80 in Bar Harbor, but yes, that sea breeze that catch you in Machias and Rockland, keeping you in the mid-70s for today, but not so much for the southwestern portion of the state. No issues with reaching the mid-80s there, but up north, a bit cooler for many of you today. Low to mid-70s from Millinocket up into Clayton Lake and Presque Isle out there this afternoon. So did have a few isolated pop-up showers and thunderstorms out there. Those are now out of the area. There could be a few lingering showers up north for tonight, but otherwise many of us staying dry. But we are going to have a cloudy and wet weekend on the way. You can see lots of cloud cover for tomorrow. We really won't see any chances for showers till the afternoon hours. For right around 4 to 5 p.m. is when that chance for showers looks to make its way into Bangor, and that'll continue to be on and off showers throughout Saturday nights into your Sunday. But overnight tonight, many of us here in Bangor are staying dry. We'll see partly cloudy skies and lows in the mid-50s for tonight.
Thank you, Chase, and we have much more just ahead.
Graham Plattner says police officers are all bastards. He makes racist comments about black people. And if you disagree with Plattner, he calls you retarded and a fag. Read more here. Pine Tree Result Pack is responsible for the content of this advertising.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
A few weeks ago, I went down to the basement to see what was happening with the boilers and opened the door, and there was about 12 to 14 inches of water in our basement. I knew who to call right away, and that was Bouchard. They were here within a half hour. They work well with our insurance company. They're very, very efficient, and all I have to do is call them any time of day. They're going to take care of me. Our business is our life, and that's why I don't hesitate to recommend them to other people.
20 years of bigotry and hate from Graham Plattner. He calls police officers all bastards, and Plattner insults black people, saying they don't tip. Read more at bigotedplattner.com. Pine Tree Results Pack is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
More than 60 cadets from the Maine Criminal Justice Academy graduated from their basic training. Our Sam Miller was there.
The 67 cadets of the 49th Basic Law Enforcement Program celebrated the completion of their intensive 18-week training at the Maine Criminal Justice Academy. During the ceremony, cadets lined up and were presented with their department's badges, which were pinned on by friends, family, and mentors. The program began back in February with 79 cadets, and of those, 67 graduated, highlighting the cadets' level of dedication and commitment to law enforcement work. Officials from departments across Maine expressed an immense amount of pride in the cadets who represented their communities.
It's a hurdle, it's a huge amount of training. They're away from their families for 18 weeks, so when they finally step out of these doors and go out to join the ranks for their career, just a huge amount of pride, something we've all gone through.
It's a long 18 weeks, it's a lot of grueling, and it's a long time. And we're so happy to have him back, and he can join the force and he can serve the community of Holden.
Cadets said walking across the stage felt surreal, and they are excited to put their hard work to good use.
It's a lot of pride. Had my uncle, my dad there, and being able to look out to my family and to see the smiles on their faces meant a lot to me.
The graduated cadets will now serve their communities, aiming to uphold the values of their counties and departments. In Vassalboro, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The Special Olympics Maine State Summer Games are now underway at the University of Maine in Orono. Leading up to the games, law enforcement officers from around the state hit the road for the Law Enforcement Officers Torch Run, carrying the flame of hope through towns and cities. Numerous departments participating in that run, including Bangor Police, Hamden Public Safety, and the Maine Air National Guard. The run concludes at the opening ceremonies, which organizers say unites athletes, officers, and supporters in a celebration of inclusion and perseverance. And folks, just ahead, we take a look at your national news.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Families across Maine are feeling squeezed. Grocery prices are too high. Healthcare costs too much. When times are tight, Joe Baldacci's record matters. He passed laws making healthcare easier to get. Joe stood up against Trump's cruel ICE raids, and in Congress, he'll fight to lower grocery prices and protect Medicare from cuts. Joe's values are Maine values: straightforward, steady, ready to get to work. Lower costs, stronger care. Joe Baldacci for Congress. Project 218 is responsible for the content of this ad.
Carpets looking tired, stained, or just plain dirty? It's time to call the pros. At C&R Carpet Cleaning, we use deep steam technology to remove dirt, odors, pet hair, and allergens fast. Fresh, clean carpets, healthier home. That's the C&R promise. Visit our Facebook page for a free estimate or call us today, 631-7380. Step into clean with C&R Carpet Cleaning.
Joe Baldacci, the hand-picked yes man of dark money DC. He's bankrolled by DC and beholden to them, not us. The truth? Joe Baldacci is the only Democrat running for Congress who stands with Trump and opposed implementing Medicare for all Mainers now. Good for the establishment, bad for Mainers. Reject dark money and corporate Democrats. Vote no on DC's hand-picked yes man, Joe Baldacci. Real Change PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
On Friday, Lebanon's state news agency reported 6 people had been killed in Israeli airstrikes. The Lebanese military issued evacuation warnings for 9 villages. The attacks come a day after the militant group Hezbollah rejected the latest ceasefire agreement between Israel and Lebanon. Fox's Max Gordon is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
A ceasefire agreement in effect between Israel and Lebanon, but conflict persists along the country's border after Hezbollah rejected the agreement.
They tell us time and time again that there is a ceasefire, but we keep seeing that it doesn't hold and doesn't exist. Like, a ceasefire here means nothing.
Israeli troops pushing farther into southern Lebanon than they have in 26 years to fight Hezbollah after the Iranian-backed terror group fired rockets into Israel. Over the past week, Israeli defense forces reported striking 650 Hezbollah targets and killing 125 Hezbollah fighters. Yesterday, a UN peacekeeper died and 2 others were injured in Lebanon after a mortar attack the IDF blamed on Hezbollah.
We reaffirm our support for efforts to end hostilities and urge all parties to respect the ceasefire, cease all attacks, and comply with international law at all times.
Iran has tied the fighting in southern Lebanon to a potential peace deal with the U.S., saying the war will end only when it ends in Lebanon as well. Lebanon's president telling CNN about Iran's interference in the conflict, saying, quote, "You are not trying to help us. The people of Lebanon are paying the price for the sake of your own interest." And while Iran is pushing for Israel to retreat from southern Lebanon, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said today they don't intend to leave in the near future. Netanyahu says Israel will continue to maintain a so-called buffer zone in southern Lebanon and claims Iran is looking to use Hezbollah for a potential invasion of Israeli territory. In Tel Aviv, Max Gordon, Fox News.
Well, President Trump's pick to lead the nation's intelligence agencies is causing an uproar on Capitol Hill, and now it could jeopardize the passage of a key surveillance bill. Fox's Caroline Elliott has more.
President Trump's pick to lead America's intel agencies is facing major pushback on Capitol Hill.
A blank check to Trump and his cronies to compromise the most sensitive, most important information that Americans have.
To protest the appointment of new acting director of national intelligence Bill Pulte, Democrats are blocking the renewal of FISA, a bill that's been described as necessary to track communications of foreign targets overseas.
In this vote, the yeas are 47, the nays are 52. This motion is not agreed to.
The vote failed early Friday morning, and Democrats say it will not be the last.
They couldn't have picked a worse person or a worse time to make this nomination, because it has now jeopardized the single most important collection authority we have to keep us safe.
Playing politics with national security. You can't hold something like this hostage.
President Trump has praised Pulte, who's coming from the Federal Housing Finance Agency.
He's very smart. He's a person who's got high integrity.
And on Air Force One Friday, the president said he hopes Pulte will make significant staffing cuts to the agency.
You want to cut the number of people working there?
I wouldn't mind. I've heard that's way too high for way too long. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. If he cut, I wouldn't mind that.
And senators left Washington for the weekend without a plan in place to renew FISA before it expires next Friday. In New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
Employers across the country keep adding jobs despite growing uncertainty from the Iran war and persistent inflation that just keeps getting worse. Fox Business correspondent Edward Lawrence has more from the White House on the May jobs report.
The jobs reports continue to demolish expectations.
Trump administration officials taking a victory lap on Friday after a new report showed the economy added 172,000 jobs in May. That's twice what was expected and speaks to the overall strength of the job market despite concerns over growing inflation.
These job numbers are going up because of the supply side of the economy, not because the government is spending a whole bunch of money.
And more crucial for President Trump, manufacturing added 7,000 jobs last month. The White House is hoping it could be the start of a new trend officials predicted would begin this summer.
All the foreign investments and all the domestic investments, that is leading to construction to build the plants, construction numbers up, and then manufacturing's up.
But the news wasn't all good. For the first time since 2023, we're seeing inflation outpace wages as prices on gas, food, and other goods continue climbing. President Trump has said inflation will fall rapidly as soon as the Iran war is over, but it's not clear when that will happen. In the meantime, Democrats are going on the offensive, lashing out at Republicans for failing to address the affordability issue.
Apparently, Republicans think we cannot afford a single penny to help Americans cover the skyrocketing costs of gasoline, of health care, of housing, of food, of energy.
The Labor Department also issued revisions for March and April, showing another 93,000 jobs were added to the economy, another sign of strength for this job market. At the White House, Edward Lawrence, Fox Business.
Well, Dallas police released new video showing the moments a handcuffed suspect who was in the back of a police cruiser jumped into the driver's seat and took off. Fox's Casey Stiegel has more.
The newly released Dallas police video begins shortly after Stacey Huffman's Saturday arrest in the 2300 block of Marsalis Avenue on drug, firearm, and traffic-related charges. What the two officers riding up front cannot see is the 27-year-old suspect in the rear seat slipping out of his handcuffs behind his back. As they're driving down the highway on the way to jail, watch closely. You can see the suspect's right hand attempting to open the door handle when police realize what's going on. The squad car is brought to a stop on northbound I-35 near Illinois Avenue. Both officers then exit the vehicle to try and restrain Huffman, but in the blink of an eye, he jumps from the back right into the driver's seat and pulls away. With an officer now in the back seat, he deploys his taser and gives verbal commands.
Stop the car! Stop the car!
When that doesn't subdue him, the officer strikes Huffman with his duty weapon, but that causes the suspect to accelerate. Next, Huffman bails from the moving vehicle. The officer is finally able to regain control before the car crashes, though not before the prisoner managed to drive approximately 1,000 feet at speeds up to 50 miles per hour.
Channel 4.
Dallas police say Huffman was knocked unconscious when he jumped and hit the pavement. He remains hospitalized. When released, he'll face new charges, including escape from custody and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle.
And that was Casey Stiegel reporting. A scary maintenance issue on board the International Space Station as astronauts rushed to a docked spacecraft while NASA figured out a reported oxygen leak on board. We go back to Fox's Caroline Elliott.
I need you to execute procedure, EMER procedure 3.4.
NASA sending out an evacuation alert on the International Space Station after a worsening oxygen leak.
Crew Dragon established safe haven.
NASA directed the crew to take shelter in the docked Dragon spacecraft on Friday as repairs were made to stop the leak on the Russian section of the ISS.
If we need to suit up, we will do that once we're inside the Dragon.
NASA says the decision was made out of an abundance of caution. The oxygen leak is not a new development. It's been a persistent problem for years, but it's a reminder of the high-risk operations behind the space business. Just last week, the Blue Origin rocket exploded on the launch pad in Cape Canaveral, Florida. The blast zone stretched more than a mile across.
The day before this accident happened, they were selected for Blue Moon, essentially, to be part of the Artemis program. So it's not just a setback for Blue Origin, it's also a setback for NASA's Artemis program, where they're going to have to figure out how to deal with this.
NASA's administrator says setbacks are all part of the business, and the agency is still on track for its Artemis moon missions.
We're laser focused on our mission to return astronauts to the surface of the moon before 2028. Things will happen. We have to learn from it and be ready to move forward.
And the crew returned back to the ISS Friday afternoon to finish the mission that's expected to wrap up in July. In New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
New research shows the best cancer fighter out there may be the body's own immune system. And now, vaccines that can boost the immune response and target tumors are showing promise. But some patients have had to travel overseas to get them. Advocates hope they're a game changer after vaccines of all kinds endured years of bad publicity during the COVID crisis. Fox's Caroline Shively reports from Washington.
I just wanted to raise my babies. That's all I thought about.
Terry Palastro's daughters were 3 and 7 when she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer in 2003.
I would just sing to them at night because I wanted them to remember my voice in case I didn't make it.
She credits a cancer vaccine for helping save her life.
These intelligent medicines, they harness essentially the most intelligent and powerful cancer-killing machine in the human body, the immune system.
Given to patients already with cancer or those at high risk of the disease, the therapeutic cancer vaccines teach the immune system to find and kill existing tumors.
And that was once the stuff of science fiction. I mean, now it's reality.
But the vaccines are only available at a handful of American hospitals, with the U.S. falling behind countries like Germany and Russia in the research. Some patients are even traveling to Mexico for a Chinese-made vaccine.
The long-term vision here is really to unlock cancer vaccine access nationwide.
That vision is laid out in the National Cancer Vaccine Roadmap, aimed at increasing access to the emerging medicine and to the milestones reached by patients.
I was able to see my oldest daughter get married last year, which I just have to pinch myself that happened.
About 1 in 3 Americans will face cancer in their lifetime. Over the next 25 years, that's expected to increase by about 50%. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
So many of the summer activities folks like to enjoy make them a welcome target for ticks. And this year, the CDC is urging people to take precautions following a sharp increase in tick-related emergency room visits. Fox's Alicia Acuna has the latest.
It's been an unusually rainy spring, and now tick-related emergency room visits are surging across the country. According to the CDC, they are at their highest seasonal levels since 2017. Agency data show as of April, the Northeast experienced the largest increase in visits, followed by the Midwest. The South Central U.S. saw the lowest.
Generally, it's about 48 hours and the tick blows up. What you have to do is gently try to remove it with a forceps.
Health experts stress that a tick bite does not automatically mean someone will become sick, but it can lead to several illnesses, including Lyme disease, which sometimes causes a bullseye rash.
It has a hollow center and it's red on the outside, but you don't always have that. It can be atypical looking. If you got the rash, get to your doctor right away.
The CDC recommends taking these preventative measures. Wear pants and long sleeves in light colors so it's easier to see bugs. Avoid tall grass. Check pets' clothing and gear. Shower within 2 hours of coming inside and do a full body check. There are efforts underway on the federal level to tackle a surge in tick bites. Last week, the Trump administration launched an initiative aimed at eliminating ticks on wildlife and increasing research funding for related diseases.
Our control policies are developing protocols for making deer less attractive to breeding.
The CDC says if you develop a fever or rash within days of removing a tick, you need to see your doctor. In Denver, Alicia Acuna, Fox News.
And just ahead, my conversation with the Dean of the University of Maine Graduate School on how the school is trying to make graduate studies more attainable. Stay with us.
It all comes down to a 2-minute thrill ride. The Belmont Stakes, Saturday on Fox.
What's the truth about Nirav Shah? Shah was appointed by a Republican mega-millionaire in Illinois and failed. Democrats called his mistakes the height of irresponsibility and negligence. That's not all. Shah worked for a union-busting firm that sides with big corporations over workers. Now, Shah is getting donations from Big Pharma, private equity, and super PAC spending from a group that wants to defund our public schools. It's a prescription for disaster for Maine working families. Don't rank Shah.
People ask me all the time, does Lowry & Associates really get all of those clients, all of those big settlements? Yes, we do. And you know what else is true? I really am standing on top of this big truck.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
When there's a big job to do, you send the person you know will deliver. Joe Baldacci. Lowering grocery prices, protecting Medicare, defending a woman's right to choose. Those are big jobs. Joe Baldacci's always delivered for Maine. He passed laws making healthcare easier to get and helped restore mental health centers. Joe Baldacci goes to work for us in Maine. And in Congress, he will too. Project 218 is responsible for the content of this ad.
Quiz with balls. Release the ball. Welcome back to the Quiz with Balls, baby. Quiz with Balls. Quiz with Balls. It's cash or splash. Everybody got that?
The Quiz with Balls, all new Mondays on Fox and watch anytime on Hulu.
Welcome back in, everyone. We are joined by Scott Delcourt, who is the Dean of the University of Maine Graduate School. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's wonderful to join you.
So, graduate school is something that I think years ago was a lot more possible, but especially in today's economy, there's a lot of people who are probably pushing off graduate studies or sort of giving up on them altogether because of the cost. And so why should people consider, sort of taking the plunge, even in today's economy?
So thank you for the question.
Yeah.
I think that there's a variety of benefits to getting an advanced degree beyond a undergraduate baccalaureate degree. There's promotion in a particular program. Oftentimes, certain careers, communication sciences and disorders for speech language pathology, social work require a master's degree in order to be a practicing professional.
Okay.
So that's one key. So being able to enter the job market as a professional. It's also, graduate education is advantageous in terms of pivoting from careers. And so individual may have started in a particular program and a particular job and decide they want to do something completely different. And because a graduate degree or even a graduate certificate can be accomplished within typically a year, maybe a little over a year, it provides that mobility within the job market.
And also, too, oftentimes graduate work is very heavy in experiential learning and hands-on experiences as part of getting that graduate credential. And so, especially if you're someone who's entering a new field after being in a previous field, being able to say, yeah, I'm new to this, but I have all this experience, super valuable.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Typically, a graduate program is much more focused than an undergraduate program. And so all of the courses are focused in the area that you're trying to train in. They typically involve having some sort of a practicum or an internship. With some of our master's and doctoral programs, a full assistantship for which you get paid to gain that real experience before you enter the job market.
And then also, so often graduate students are, folks who are, a little bit more progressed in life, like again, looking for that pivot point or just looking to complete graduate work in the field that they've been working in, but work, life, family, those are all things that folks have to balance. And so how can someone fit graduate education into what is probably already a busy life?
I'm glad you asked that question. So, as I alluded, graduate programs can vary from certificates, many of which are offered online, that could be as little as 3 courses, to full master's degree programs requiring 30 or so credits, and doctoral programs with a little more credits and more research. Many of the programs, particularly offered at the University of Maine, are offered online and can be easily accommodated into a work schedule. Many of the programs are offered in such a way that the courses are asynchronous, meaning that they can be taken at any time that the student's able to take the course. They don't follow a particular timeline.
All right. So we're running out of time, but very, very quickly, in terms of financial assistance, folks are balancing, spouse, household, kids. How do you fit graduate work, not just into your time management, but into your financial management? Are there, is there assistance available for grad students as well?
Yes, and this is important to consider. There are a number of forms of financial assistance ranging from scholarships that would pay some or all of graduate tuition in certain programs, to, for many of our students that are in master's and particularly doctoral programs, full research and teaching assistantships that not only provide the hands-on experience, but pay a pretty substantial stipend, tuition, health benefits. It's also important to note that in many fields, education is a good example, that employers will actually pay for the cost of tuition for employees within their divisions.
So all things important to consider before you make a final decision about whether you can do it or whether you can't.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and shedding a little light on this. Hopefully some folks decide to go for it, I was very glad that I did, so hopefully other folks will as well.
Thank you for the invitation.
All right, folks, we'll be right back with your full forecast.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Are your gutters weighed down by debris causing them to sag and overflow? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. Clogged gutters lead to costly repairs for your home, so skip the cleaning and stop the clogs with Gutter Shutter. Gutter Shutter, the world's best gutter, is a high-performance gutter with a lifetime no-clog guarantee. Stop the clutter, get Gutter Shutter. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
Families across Maine are feeling squeezed. Grocery prices are too high. Healthcare costs too much. When times are tight, Joe Baldacci's record matters. He passed laws making healthcare easier to get. Joe stood up against Trump's cruel ICE raids. And in Congress, he'll fight to lower grocery prices and protect Medicare from cuts. Joe's values are Maine values. Straightforward, steady, ready to get to work. Lower costs, stronger care. Joe Baldacci for Congress. Project 218 is responsible for the content of this ad.
Saturday on Fox, Boston, New York. The rivalry is spilling into the booth.
The best rivalry in the sport because of the history.
We didn't like you guys, you didn't like us. We had fights.
As Big Papi, Jeter, and A-Rod announce the game for the first time ever.
It's going to be awesome, so you can get to see the Yankees lose bigger than ever. Right, Cap?
Baseball Night in America, Saturday at 7:30 Eastern on Fox.
Enjoy the show!
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
It's time for the world's most extreme sport. The NHRA on Fox.
Thank you very much. Those highs today still reaching into the low 80s here in Bangor. 81 for us exactly. And you can see 80 in Bar Harbor for today, but Machias and Rockland did get the effects of that sea breeze for today, keeping you in the mid 70s, but no issues along the southwestern portion of the state. Low to mid 80s for you. It looks like 87 in Freiburg for today, but temperatures a bit cooler up north. You're seeing low to mid 70s for areas like Millinocket, Clayton Lake, and to Presque Isle. So for tonight, you actually may see some warmer temperatures up north, but here in the Bangor areas, we'll have some clearing out there, giving us partly cloudy skies for tonight. Low to mid 50s are expected. As we go into tomorrow, we're not going to be as warm as we have been the past 2 days. We may reach 74 tomorrow. It's going to be very hard with a lot of cloud cover in the area. Check out what the sea breeze is going to do for tomorrow. Some areas may be holding highs in the 50s for Deer Isle and to Machias. And then, of course, many of us will spend a lot of the day in the 60s with all that cloud cover on the way for tomorrow. So the average highs right around 72. We're going to be a bit below that for your weekend. Saturday and Sunday looking to be in the upper 60s. 60s. But don't worry, the heat returns by the mid portions of next week. You can see Wednesday, that high at 90 degrees. And we can see temperatures close to that Tuesday and Thursday as well. By Friday, those temperatures still above average, but they will fall a little bit back into the mid to upper 70s then. So wind speeds out there for tonight, they're lightening up. But as we get into tomorrow, there will be a little bit of a southeast breeze with the system coming in, bringing some scattered showers. We can see gusts near 15 to 20 miles per hour. Nothing too crazy, but what you don't see here on the future gust chart. So this goes till Sunday, 6 a.m. Looking to be light and variable to start off the morning, but there will be a cold front crashing in from the north for Sunday afternoon, and that's when we can see wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour coming in from the north. So keep that in mind. You may want to hold on to your hats for Sunday as well. So we did see a few isolated pop-up showers and thunderstorms out there for today. That is now over with, but as we get into tomorrow, you'll see some rain early on for Bangor North, but we really won't have the better chances of showers till we get into those evening hours. Right around 4 to 5 p.m. is when those showers may make their way into Bangor. And once we get past that, it looks to be on and off showers. So we will have some dry hours in there, but still a chance for a few showers overnight for Saturday night into Sunday. But many of us will see more showers again all across the state for your Sunday. Here's that cold front crashing in from the north. It will bring some rain chances, and of course, it's going to bring some wind, gusting near 30 miles per hour. This does look to get out of here a little bit past dark for your Sunday night, and we'll be in the clear heading into your Monday. So for tonight, we got lows in the mid-50s. There are a chance for a few showers out there, mainly staying to the north. We'll have partly cloudy skies here in Bangor, staying dry with lows in the mid-50s for tonight. Going into tomorrow, it's going to be a bit cooler than what we've seen the past few days, looking at upper 60s due to cloudy skies, and of course, scattered rain showers out there for tomorrow with winds from the southeast, gusting near 20 miles per hour. So here's a look at your extended forecast. We'll still be in the upper 60s for your Sunday. We'll have more widespread showers across the state then, but for Monday, this clears out here back in the mid to upper 70s, and temperatures continue to rocket up. Tuesday, mid-80s, plenty of sunshine. We're looking for 90 going into your Wednesday.
Chase, thank you so much, and we will be right back with sports.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
Whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or any commercial vehicle, we know how to get you the big money you may deserve.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the Twos. We win for you.
When Blazing Trails located in Lincoln want to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Blazing Trails is Lincoln's #1 trusted dispensary, providing outstanding product and customer service to Eastern and Central Maine.
If you need a lobbyist in D.C., Bobby Charles might just be your guy. But if you want a conservative businessman who will shake up Augusta, then vote for me. I'm Jonathan Bush. I'm an outsider, a job creator, and a disruptor. As governor, I will fight for you, slashing your taxes, shredding the waste, fraud, and woke insanity, keeping boys out of girls' sports.
Thanks, Dad.
And always protecting your freedom. I'm Jonathan Bush. I'd appreciate your vote.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back in, folks. Speedway presented by Bar Harbor Bank and Trust officially opens on Saturday. Our Max Sturm caught up with Ricky Craven to talk about the weekend ahead.
The green flag is set to drop on the racing season at the new Speedway presented by Bar Harbor Bank and Trust this Saturday, June 6th.
We're on the eve of something really special, our inaugural event.
Former NASCAR driver Ricky Craven says he cannot wait to deliver an all-new race day experience to fans in Central Maine.
I think when the customers walk up the Midway, they're going to get a full force and effect appreciation of what we've been doing for the last 7.5 months. All of that effort and what we've created will be very apparent.
The new additions to the track not only required a large amount of manual labor, but were also a big-time investment for Craven and his team. But he says it's already been worth every last penny.
I really could not enjoy anything more than what I'm doing right now. When I was 20, I was about going 200 miles an hour. I was about racing in the Daytona 500 in Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Today, I am doing exactly what I was meant to do.
Even with all the investment in labor, Craven says none of this would be possible without the dedicated racing field.
We're going to have a strong pro stock field. Mike Hopkins, Johnny Clark, DJ Shaw. For the top series in New England racing, it hadn't been at this track in over 20 years.
Bringing life back to racing in Central Maine is a goal that is deeply rooted in Craven's history here. So much so that the former Cup Series winner himself is chomping at the bit for his chance to get back behind the wheel.
I sat right there when I was 4 years old, watching my dad win all 3 races in the top division. That had a profound effect on me. I've got the itch to dust off my helmet, and I wouldn't be surprised if before the year's out, I'm out here trying to put up a big number on that Bar Harbor Bank and Trust Speedway scoreboard.
The cars will take the track at 4 p.m. on Saturday, and for those with no weekend plans, Craven has one message.
This was a concept in October of 2025, and now it's a reality.
In Herman, Max Sturm, ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports.
That is awesome stuff. Thank you so much for that, Max. Let's go to Orono now, where the Special Olympics Maine Summer Games are officially underway. Over 1,300 athletes from across the state have gathered in Orono this weekend to compete in the 2026 Summer Games. It's 3 days of competition in track and field plus bocce. There's a number of other activities this weekend, though, including tonight's opening ceremonies, a dance on Saturday night, activities in the Olympic Village, and a closing ceremony on Sunday. And that's what it's all about. President and CEO of Special Olympics Maine, Ian Frank, says this weekend is bigger than results and medals.
This weekend is about our athletes and inclusion and a community. It's everybody coming together, feeling belonged, and joyful. Really, just joyful. I mean, the smiles that we see all throughout the weekend just gives you the energy you need to keep doing everything. So it's exactly why we're here.
That opening ceremony was one of the coolest things I've witnessed in my time here in Bangor covering sports. Good luck to all the athletes this weekend. We'll go to Portland now, where the Portland Hearts of Pine have taken the state by storm over the past few years, so much so that the club secured the rights to a USL women's team, which will come to Portland next spring. The team will feature top collegiate and pre-professional talent from around the area. The new club will play 6 home games at Fitzpatrick Stadium next summer. They recognize the momentum behind the Hearts of Pine and believe they can take it to another level with a women's side and inspire the next generation of women's soccer in Maine and America.
I think what you're going to see on our game days for the women's team is a little bit more of your own voice. Women have their own voice. Maine women have their own voice and their own grit, if you will. We want to pave a new pathway for women's American soccer at this level.
Just great local stuff happening all around the state. For now, that's all the time we have for sports. We're right back after the break.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
We're lucky to live in Maine. We have a wealth of natural resources, hardworking people, and time for the things that matter. Mechanical Services is all about Maine, with energy efficiency that protects our environment and helps businesses grow. Preventive maintenance and energy solutions that save money. How Maine is that? Mechanical Services. We're everywhere you are in Maine.
Calm, compassionate, capable. That's how Dr. Nirav Shah led us through one of our most challenging times together, earning the trust of Mainers for his clear leadership that saved lives.
As governor, I'll be guided by evidence, motivated by compassion, driven by urgency, and committed to our responsibility to care for one another. We've come together before to tackle tough challenges, and I'm ready to do it again.
Nirav Shah, Governor.
What is Spectrum Internet? It's the fastest and most reliable internet.
It's connecting with my followers out there and in here.
It's secure internet for you and your family.
It's keeping kids like us safe online.
It's Wi-Fi that stays on even when the power doesn't.
Staying connected no matter what.
So what's Spectrum Internet? It's everything you want it to be. Switch today at spectrum.com.
Thousands of kids like Caroline receive life-changing care at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center each year, the only full-service pediatric program north of Portland. You can help support them by joining the Summer Classic 4 Maine Kids Golf Tournament, happening July 31st at Bangor Municipal Golf Course. Benefiting the Children's Miracle Network at Eastern Maine Medical Center, every dollar raised supports pediatric care today, tomorrow, and for years to come. Ready to tee up for a great cause? Visit northernlight.org/4kids to learn more and register today.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
One brewer business is receiving national recognition for the impact it's having on American service members. Our Alex Schley has more.
For over a decade, the brewer-based defense company has been working to develop new technology to help keep American service members safe.
The U.S. military first went to the University of Maine asking them for protection for the troops. So there was a research and development program that started there, and then Compotech spun off from that laboratory to really commercialize the product and build the production line behind us.
The company began by finding a modern alternative solution to military field fortification defensive barriers.
So for the ballistic protection, before that, all you really had was sandbags. So it would take you 160 hours to build a 5-foot tall wall around your military shelter. And now, in just under an hour, you can have our ballistic protection around the shelter.
Since going into full production in 2019, President Paul Melrose says they have made nearly 15 miles of armor walls, which is estimated to protect over 5,000 troops. Since then, Compotech has also been producing modules to replace the traditional military tents.
It protects you from everything, rain, extreme environment. We had one recently survive a typhoon, so very, very impressive. It's replacing military tents, and those can't perform like that.
Melrose says the modules are reusable, quick to assemble, and structurally sound.
The military has all kinds of ways to deploy their technology into the field. So we can do airdropping. So it basically goes off the ramp of a large cargo plane, and then parachutes come up when it's in the air.
This work has earned Compotech the title of Small Business Manufacturer of the Year for both the state of Maine and for all of New England. In Brewer, Alex Schley for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Staying in Brewer, as part of this year's Riverwalk Festival, Brewer is bringing back its fireworks display. The celebration was originally scheduled for 9 o'clock. However, due to a scheduling conflict with the Maine Savings Amphitheater in Bangor, fireworks will now go off at 8:45 tomorrow evening. Deputy Director of Economic Development Brad Wall warns folks that they need to plan ahead.
We recommend folks show up by 8:30 because it could be a little sooner or a little later than 8:45, depending on when the break in the Maine Savings Amphitheater show is.
Well, due to limited parking throughout the day, the historic Bangor Trolley will be providing free shuttle service from the Joseph Ferris Community Center and the festival. The festival, by the way, kicks off tomorrow at 11:15 a.m. with remarks from Brewer Mayor Jen Morin. The festival wraps up after those fireworks. So come one, come all, and enjoy in the city of Brewer. Alrighty, folks, that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great rest of your night.
is to put items in the correct order.
Before, in between, definitely after.
This is The Perfect Line. Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
If you need a lobbyist in D.C., Bobby Charles might just be your guy. But if you want a conservative businessman who will shake up Augusta, then vote